Hello, everyone. This is Ross Carpri again with Keller Williams Metro South, coming to you today to discuss national averages of homes in the real estate market. And I've got Andy Gagliano with me from Gagliano Mortgage. He's going to come on in a few minutes and just give you some statistics. But one of the things we want to touch on today is we all know that everything that affects the real estate market comes from the news. The news, everybody listens to the news and they want to know if interest rates are going to come down, if interest rates are going up. Nobody really knows that for sure. I don't even think the people that handle that situation in Congress has an idea.
No.
But what we have to do as buyers is kind of be smart with our way of thinking, try to be open minded on what we hear, listen to what we hear, and then if you need to be in the market for selling your home or buying another home, then you kind of use those as guidelines. But the main thing you need to do is talk to your real estate agent, which I hope in some future case would be me, or you can talk to a lender, which in what I would hope as well is it would be Andy with Galliano Mortgage. Um, but the thing you need to do is just kind of talk it over with us to kind of see where you stand in the market, what your house would be worth in today's market, and what do you think that your budget would be on the future home that you're looking to buy. Um, it's the national average is one thing, but like Andy and I were just talking, the national average includes Florida, includes California, includes Chicago, Denver. I mean, all the other places in the country, and that does take a toll on the national average. The average home in Birmingham may not be the same as it is in California. We all know that. So it's up to us to kind of give you statistics based on the home that you have here in Birmingham or in Alabama, and then kind of see where that puts you on the national average, and see where it puts you in getting ready to purchase another home. Those are the numbers that you really should be concerned about. Even if interest rates drop today, it's going to be several weeks, I would think, before it actually hits the market. It just has that trickle down effect. It takes a while for rates to come down. They will eventually do that, but it's not an overnight thing. So just keep that in mind. If you need any help with trying to figure out the value of your home, trying to figure out what it's worth and what I might can buy with that money, then just give me a call. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you, talk about it, see if your situation is one that justifies trying to make a purchase, and we'll go from there. My number is 205 601 0123. And now I'm going to bring Andy on, and he's going to go over some statistics as well from the lender side of the business that might give you some pointers to help you as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate you having me on again. And yeah, this is something that, is kind of a touchy point with me, because these headlines that we see, first of all, we have so many news sources today compared to what we had 25, 30 years ago, to where they're all trying to get our eyeballs and trying to get our attention on their website, their news station, their article, whatever it is. And to do that, they throw out some real catchy headlines to try to get us to click on that link or that article headline and read the article, spend time there, because they're all selling ads. And so we have to kind of keep that in mind, keep the source of the news in mind. But what Ross said is spot on. The real estate market in Birmingham is not the same as the real estate market in LA or New York. And it's the same thing with interest rates. We in Alabama actually have different interest rates than other states in the country. And so when you could take the same borrower, and that borrower could be buying a home in Florida, and the interest rate that that borrower is going to get on the same property, at least sales price property, same terms of the loan and everything else in Alabama is going to be marginally higher. Not going to be a big difference in rate, but it's going to be a little bit higher. And so those are things that we need to kind of keep in mind. And, you know, on the headline front, when it comes to interest rates, one thing that drives me crazy is every week on Thursdays, Freddie Mac, who is one of the agencies that buys mortgages on the secondary market, they release their average interest rate for the week. And what we'll often hear in those headlines is, well, interest rates dropped this past week, or interest rates went up this past week. The average rate is whatever it happens to be, according to the headline or according to the article. But the interest rates that they're talking about and the activity that they're talking about, whether that's rates went up or rates went down, is actually news from the previous week. So by the time you as a consumer, you hear that rates dropped, well, that's last week's news. And this week, the rates could have gone up and gotten back all of the losses from last week, and even be higher in rate than where we were last week. So those news articles, we have to really kind of take them with a grain of salt. Now they do provide some value in that we can use them to establish some sort of a trend. And trends are good because they do let us know what's going on, but just in general. But if you want specifics, if you want real honest answers, you need to be on the phone with a licensed loan officer and having a conversation about where interest rates are, where they've been, where they're going. Of course, that's all speculation, but we all like to speculate a little bit now and then. And I'm happy to help with that. If someone has questions, they're welcome to give me a call. The other thing too about these headlines is when Freddie Mac comes out and they say the average interest rate last week was 6.93. Well, what is that average rate? Who is that for? If your credit score is lower than what the average borrower would get, then your interest rate is going to be higher than that average rate. So just another little thing to think about, a little twist on the news, and between news and reality. That's the difference between news and reality, is probably the better way to say that. And so I'm happy to help answer any questions that anyone may have, and no sales pitch from me, no pressure from me whatsoever. But my number is 205-979-4412, and I can be reached at extension 1 when the automated attendant answers. So, Ross, that's all I've got. But you know, there's a lot to this, and I think a lot of times buyers get really wrapped up in, well, I heard that sellers are cutting prices. I heard that interest rates have been going down, and so that may be the case in parts of the country, but it may not be the case in the market that you're looking at in Birmingham. So,
well, and here's the thing to think about as well. Every household has a situation, has a story. When I list homes, and you know, people ask me, when's the best time to sell a house? Well, my answer to that question is when you don't have to.
Yeah.
If you just want to put it on the market, see what you can get for it, and then go somewhere else if this home does not fit the size requirements or style requirements or whatever, that's the best time to put it on the market. First of all, you know you're not going to live there forever. It's not your forever home. And you want to see what you can get for it. And the only way to determine that is put it on the market. Now, I know that sounds silly, but the reasoning for that, for saying that is, if you're in a situation where let's say it's a divorce, we know that happens every day, all day long, morning, noon, and night.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a situation where you and your spouse are separating and getting a divorce, the last thing on your mind is, I don't want to have to sell my house. We just need to go ahead and put it on the market, see what we can get for it so that we can go our separate ways. Well, that determining factor on that is going to be different than if you just want to see what your house will bring in from an economy standpoint. You're going to want to go ahead and get rid of the house the quickest that you can, obviously for the most money, but your drive and your motivation is different when you're getting a divorce than it is if you're just looking to see what I can get from my house so I can move to another neighborhood and start over or change or maybe move out of state to get another job. There's all kinds of conditions.
Right.
And those conditions determine your motivation, in my opinion. And that's why it's always good just to sit down and talk, try to figure out what's the best strategy. We all want the highest and best price for our house. Some houses bring that. Some houses bring more than that based on the condition. But you know as well as I know, not everyone takes care of their homes the same. Some people have them in mint, stellar situation, and then there's others that they need a lot of work. And the problem that we have as realtors is when you have a seller that wants the highest and best dollar, but the house doesn't justify that. And that's what makes it hard. And it's hard to tell a seller that. But we try to point it out to a point to where they know what we have to do. We'll sit down and evaluate with them and price it based on those conditions. So that does make a difference. And whether the interest rate is high or low, if you're in a position, say in a divorce situation again, you're going to sell your house anyway. Doesn't matter if interest rate's 8%, 9%, or 6%.
Yeah.
You have to sell it. So that
Yeah.
makes a difference in the decision.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Well, Andy, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Good
thank
session.
you.
And guys, if any questions, you can notify Andy or myself. We'll be more than happy to sit down and talk with you and kind of come up with a plan that might be best suited for you.
Good deal. Thank you, Ross.
All right.
Hope you have a great week. See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
You too, buddy. Okay.
All right. Goodbye.